In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where countless stars twinkled like scattered diamonds against an endless black canvas, humanity was nothing more than a myth, a story told by alien elders to warn their young ones about hubris and self-destruction. The Krillian Accord, a federation of advanced civilizations spanning dozens of star systems, thrived on unity and peace, yet buried deep within their archives were whispers of a species called humans, who had once ruled a planet called Earth before vanishing into oblivion. Vera sat hunched over her desk in the dimly lit archives of the Accord's central library. Her long fingers danced across holographic screens filled with ancient texts and fragmented data logs. She wasn't supposed to be here this late, but something about tonight felt different. A strange pull had drawn her deeper into the forgotten corners of history. Her eyes widened as she stumbled upon a file labeled Project Genesis. Most of its contents were corrupted, but one phrase stood out. Humans, intelligent bipedal, mammals native to Sol system, extinct circa 2347 CE due to catastrophic ecological collapse. The word sent a shiver down her spine. Humans weren't just a fable, they'd been real, and now, centuries later, Vera couldn't shake the feeling that their disappearance might hold secrets worth uncovering. Far from the bustling cities of the Accord, near the edge of explored space, Commander Talric stood on the bridge of his scout vessel, Aurora's Blade. His crew whispered nervously behind him as they stared at the viewscreen. Drifting silently before them were massive, derelict ships unlike anything they'd ever seen. Their angular designs and battered hulls suggested age and abandonment, but there was something unsettling about them. Something alive. "What are those?" asked Lieutenant Kale, his voice trembling slightly. Talric narrowed his eyes. "Unknown origin. Deploy probes for analysis." As small drones zipped toward the ghostly fleet, Talric's mind raced. These ships didn't match any known design in the Accord's database. They looked primitive, yet oddly menacing. When the first probe transmitted images back to the Aurora's Blade, the crew gasped. Inside the largest ship, rows of empty cryopods lined the walls, along with faded symbols etched into metal panels. One symbol caught Vera's attention. It resembled an eagle clutching a globe. "These markings," Talric muttered. "They're human." The room fell silent. Humanity was supposed to be extinct. But if these ships belonged to humans, what did that mean? Were they truly gone, or had they simply disappeared? Back in the archives, Vera worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle. She cross-referenced every fragment she could find about humans. According to legend, they were a brilliant but reckless species. Their technology rivaled even the most advanced races today, but their greed and infighting led to their downfall. Some accounts claimed they destroyed their own planet through war and pollution, while others hinted at external forces driving them to extinction. One document particularly intrigued her, a transcript of intercepted communications from centuries ago. It spoke of a great migration, where surviving humans fled Earth aboard colossal ships destined for unknown stars. If true, it meant humanity hadn't died out entirely. They'd simply left. But why hadn't anyone heard from them since? Vera decided to take her findings to High Counselor Morel, hoping to convince the Accord to investigate further. However, when she presented her evidence, Morel dismissed her concerns. "Humans are a myth, Vera," he said sternly. "Focus your efforts on matters of relevance." Frustrated but undeterred, Vera resolved to continue her research independently. Something about the derelict ships nagged at her. If they really were human-made, then perhaps humanity wasn't as extinct as everyone believed. Meanwhile, aboard the Aurora's Blade, things took a darker turn. After sending boarding parties into the largest derelict ship, strange phenomena began occurring. Lights flickered unpredictably. Communication devices crackled with static. Crew members reported hearing faint voices echoing through empty corridors. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Ensign Lyra, clutching her scanner tightly. Talric ignored the unease spreading among his team. He needed answers. As they delved deeper into the ship, they discovered a control room filled with dormant consoles. With some effort, Kale managed to reactivate one of them. A single line of text appeared on the screen. "We are coming." The message sent chills through. Everyone present, coming from where? And why? Before they could investigate further, alarms blared throughout the ship. Energy readings spiked dangerously high. Whatever power source still lingered aboard the derelict vessel was waking up, and it wasn't happy about intruders. "Evacuate immediately," Talric ordered. As the crew scrambled back to their shuttle, the derelict ship groaned like a wounded beast. Metal creaked, and lights pulsed erratically. Just as they reached safety, the entire structure shuddered violently before falling silent once more. When news of the encounter reached the Accord, panic rippled through its ranks. Many demanded immediate action, fearing a potential threat from these mysterious ships. Others argued for caution, insisting the derelicts posed no danger. Unless provoked, Vera saw her chance. Armed with fresh evidence, she petitioned the Council again, this time with renewed urgency. "The humans aren't extinct," she declared boldly. "That ship proves it. We need to understand what happened to them and why they've returned." Though skeptical, the Council reluctantly agreed to send a small expeditionary force to assist Talric. To Vera's surprise, she was invited to join the mission. Upon arriving at the site, Vera stepped onto the Aurora's blade for the first time. Talric greeted her with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. "You think you can make sense of this mess?" he asked gruffly. "I think I can try," she replied firmly. Together they revisited the derelict ship. This time, Vera brought specialized equipment designed to interface with outdated human technology. Slowly but surely, she began unlocking fragments of information stored within the ship's systems. She learned that the vessel was part of a larger fleet tasked with finding a new home for humanity after Earth became uninhabitable. Logs detailed harrowing journeys across uncharted space, battles fought against hostile alien species, and desperate attempts to preserve their culture amidst dwindling resources. Then came the breakthrough. Deep within the ship's memory banks, Vera uncovered a recorded message intended for future generations, or perhaps other civilizations. It showed a man in tattered clothes standing before a backdrop of stars. "To whoever finds this," the man began, his voice weary but resolute, "know that we are not monsters. We made mistakes, yes, but we also dreamed of greatness. If you seek us, follow the trail we leave behind. We are waiting." The recording ended abruptly, leaving Vera and Talric stunned. What did it mean? Where were the humans now? And what would happen when, if, they finally met face to face? As the expedition prepared to return to Accord space, Vera couldn't shake the weight of what she'd discovered. Humanity wasn't just a relic of the past. They were survivors, hiding somewhere in the vastness of the galaxy. Whether they sought reconciliation or revenge remained unclear. But one thing was certain. The quiet of the stars was about to be shattered forever. And when that day came, neither side would emerge unchanged. In a distant corner of the galaxy, hidden behind veils of asteroid fields and cloaking technology, humanity had quietly rebuilt itself. They called their new home New Haven, a sprawling colony carved into the icy surface of a remote moon. It wasn't much, just domed cities powered by fusion reactors and fields of hydroponic crops, but it was enough to sustain them. For centuries, they had lived in secrecy, avoiding contact with other species while preparing for the day they could reclaim their place among the stars. General Elena Cross stood on the observation deck of the Eclipse, humanity's newest warship. Outside, workers swarmed around the vessel, welding armor, plating, and calibrating weapon systems. Her sharp green eyes scanned the activity below, her jaw clenched tight. She hated feeling powerless, and after decades of hiding, she was ready to fight back. "Status report," she barked at Lieutenant Marcus, her second in command. "All systems operational, General," Marcus replied. "We'll be combat ready within the week." Elena nodded, though her mind raced with doubts. Humanity hadn't faced another species since their exile from Earth centuries ago. Were they strong enough? Smart enough? Or would they falter again just like before? Dr. Elias Kane watched the construction of the fleet with growing unease. As the colony's lead scientist, He'd spent years advocating for peace over aggression. He believed humanity's survival depended not on weapons but on diplomacy. Yet his pleas fell on deaf ears. "They'll see us as monsters," Kane argued during a heated council meeting. "If we march into their territory with guns blazing, we'll confirm every fear they've ever had about us." Elena slammed her fist on the table. "And what do you suggest we do instead, Kane? Sit here and wait for them to find us, to judge us?" "No. We strike first. We show them we're not weak." Kane shook his head. "Violence will only perpetuate the cycle. We have a chance to prove we've changed, that we're better than our ancestors." But Elena dismissed him with a wave of her hand. "Enough. The decision is made. Prepare yourself, Kane. You're coming with us." Meanwhile, in the Krillian Accord, panic spread like wildfire. News of the human ships reached every corner of the Federation, sparking debates among its leaders. Some factions pushed for preemptive strikes, fearing humanity's return signaled another era of chaos. Others, led by Vera, urged caution. They were victims once too, Vera reminded the council during an emergency session. Their extinction wasn't entirely their fault. Other species played a role. They abandoned humanity when they needed help most. High Counselor Morell frowned. "Are you suggesting we trust them? After everything we've seen?" "I'm suggesting we understand them," Vera countered. "If we rush to war without trying to communicate, we risk repeating history." Reluctantly, the council agreed to send a diplomatic envoy alongside their military forces. Talric was chosen to lead the mission, with Vera accompanying him as an advisor. As both sides prepared for inevitable confrontation, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Humanity launched covert operations to test the Accord's defenses. Small raids targeted outlying colonies, disabling communication arrays and stealing supplies. Each attack left the Accord scrambling, unsure whether to retaliate or negotiate. During one such raid, Elena personally led her team aboard a Krillian outpost. Their objective was simple: gather intel and withdraw undetected. But things went awry when they stumbled upon Commander Talric himself, who had arrived unexpectedly to inspect the facility. "Drop your weapon," Elena ordered, pointing a plasma rifle at Talric's chest. Talric raised his hands slowly, studying her with piercing blue eyes. "You're human," he said, his voice calm despite the situation. "I thought you were extinct." Elena smirked. "Not quite." For several tense moments neither moved. Then Talric spoke again. "Why are you doing this? Attacking innocent people? Do you think violence will win you allies?" "It's not about winning allies," Elena snapped. "It's about survival, something your kind knows nothing about." Despite herself, she hesitated. There was something earnest in Talric's gaze, a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, peace was possible. Instead of killing him, she ordered her team to capture him alive. Back on New Haven, Elena interrogated Talric in a sterile holding cell. At first, he refused to answer her questions, demanding to know why humanity had returned so aggressively. But as days passed, their conversations grew less hostile and more reflective. "You're wrong about us," Talric said one evening. "We didn't abandon Earth. By the time we realized what was happening, it was too late. Your ancestors refused our help. They saw us as invaders." Elena's brow furrowed. She'd always been taught that other species betrayed humanity, leaving them to die. Could Talric's version of events be true? Before she could decide, chaos erupted. An alarm blared throughout the colony, signaling a breach in security. Rushing to the command center, Elena discovered that Kane had betrayed them. Using encrypted channels, he had transmitted New Haven's location to the Accord. "You fool!" Elena shouted, confronting Kane as guards restrained him. "Do you realize what you've done?" "I did what was necessary," Kane shot back, his voice trembling with conviction. "We can't keep hiding, Elena. If we want forgiveness, we have to face our past." With both fleets converging on New Haven, war seemed inevitable. Elena stared at the tactical display, watching red dots representing Accord ships close in on their position. Her heart pounded as she considered her options. Fight or surrender? Revenge or redemption? Then, an idea struck her. Turning to Marcus, she gave a decisive order. Prepare a transmission. I'm going to speak directly to the Accord. Moments later, her image appeared on screens across the galaxy. Behind her loomed the massive silhouette of the eclipse. Her voice rang clear and steady. To the Krillian Accord, I am General Elena Cross of humanity. For centuries, we have lived in exile, rebuilding what was lost. We did not return seeking war, but we will defend ourselves if provoked. Before you attack, ask yourselves, are we truly your enemy? Or are we victims of misunderstandings that span millennia? Silence followed her words. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath, waiting to see how the Accord would respond. On Talric's flagship, Vera watched Elena's message with a mixture of awe and dread. Turning to Talric, she pleaded, Please let me try to broker peace. If we don't, this could escalate into a war neither side can afford. Talric hesitated, then nodded. Go, but make it quick. Vera boarded a shuttle bound for New Haven, praying she wasn't too late. When she landed, Elena greeted her with cautious respect. You came alone, Elena noted. Brave or foolish? Desperate, Vera corrected. I believe we can avoid bloodshed if we talk. For hours, the two women debated the future of humanity and the Accord. Slowly, trust began to form. By the time they finished, a fragile truce had been agreed upon. Both sides would stand down, for now. As the Accord's fleet withdrew, Elena gazed at the stars through the eclipse's viewport. Peace was uncertain, but it was a start. Somewhere out there, amidst the ruins of Earth and the echoes of ancient wars, lay the seeds of redemption. Whether humanity could nurture those seeds remained to be seen. The stage was set for a clash that could reshape the galaxy. Humanity's fleet, led by General Elena Cross aboard the Eclipse, faced off against the Krillian Accord's armada, commanded by Commander Talric. Between them lay the desolate remnants of Earth's solar system, a graveyard of shattered planets and drifting debris. The air crackled with tension as both sides prepared for war, their weapons locked and loaded. Vera stood on the bridge of Talric's flagship, her heart pounding. She had worked tirelessly to broker peace, but mistrust ran deep on both sides. Would her efforts be enough to prevent catastrophe? Opening scene. The edge of war. Elena paced the Eclipse's command deck, her mind racing. She had spent centuries preparing for this moment, training her people to fight back against those who abandoned them. But now, staring at the Accord's gleaming ships through the viewport, she felt doubt creeping in. Was revenge worth reigniting the cycle of violence, or could humanity find another way? General, Lieutenant Marcus interrupted her thoughts. They're hailing us. Elena nodded. Put them on screen. Talric's stern face appeared, flanked by Vera. His voice carried authority but also weariness. General Cross, we've come to negotiate. Stand down your weapons and let's avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Elena crossed her arms. And why should I trust you? Your kind left us to die once before. It wasn't that simple, Talric replied firmly. We tried to help, but your ancestors refused. That doesn't mean we can't start over now. Before Elena could respond, chaos erupted. A rogue faction within humanity, led by Admiral Rourke, a firebrand who despised the Accord, launched an unauthorized attack. Energy beams lanced through space, striking a civilian transport ship carrying refugees fleeing the conflict zone. The vessel exploded in a blinding flash, sending shockwaves rippling through the void. No! Elena shouted, slamming her fist onto the console. Rourke, stand down. But it was too late. The Accord fleet retaliated instinctively, opening fire on nearby human ships. Explosions lit up the darkness as vessels on both sides were torn apart. Thousands died in moments. Battle rages. A desperate plea amid the chaos. Vera refused to give up. Grabbing a communicator, she broadcasted a message across all frequencies. This is Vera of the Krillian Accord. Stop fighting. These deaths are meaningless. We share a history. We can find common ground if we stop hating each other. Her words went largely ignored. Ships continued to exchange fire, their crews driven by fear and anger. But slowly, some began to listen. A few Accord captains hesitated, lowering their weapons. On the human side, Elena ordered her loyal forces to hold position, creating a fragile buffer between the warring factions. "Enough," Elena bellowed over the comms. "Admiral Rourke, cease fire immediately or face consequences." Rourke sneered. "You're weak, Cross. If you won't finish them, I will." With no other choice, Elena signaled her flagship to disable Rourke's command ship. As his vessel drifted powerless, the rogue admiral was arrested, and the remaining human forces fell silent. Personal sacrifice. A step toward peace. Realizing the battle had reached a tipping point, Elena made a decision that would change everything. Striding to the center of the Eclipse's bridge, she addressed her crew. "I'm going out there alone," she announced. "If we want peace, someone has to take the first step." Marcus protested. "They'll kill you." "They won't," Elena said firmly. "Not if they see I'm willing to risk everything for this." Stepping into an escape pod, Elena launched herself toward Talric's flagship. Her small craft drifted silently through the wreckage of the battlefield, illuminated only by the distant glow of dying stars. When she arrived, Talric met her personally in the docking bay. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Talric extended a hand. "You took a great risk coming here." "So did you," Elena replied, shaking his hand. "Let's not waste it." Together, they walked to the flagship's conference room, where Vera awaited them. Over the next hours, they hammered out the terms of a fragile truce. Both sides agreed to establish a joint council to oversee cooperation and prevent future conflicts. In exchange, humanity would reveal its colonies' locations and open itself to inspection by the Accord. Resolution: fragile hope days. Later, the fleets parted ways, each returning to their respective territories. Though the scars of battle remained, fresh, a tentative peace had been forged. It wouldn't last forever. Old wounds ran too deep. But it was a start. Back on New Haven, Kane approached Elena as she gazed at the stars. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Elena sighed. "I don't know. But I do know this. If we keep looking backward, we'll never move forward." Kane nodded, offering a small smile. "Then let's hope the future is kinder than the past." Final scene. Echoes of Earth on. The ruins of Earth, Vera stood alone amidst the cracked surface of a dead world. Towering skeletons of skyscrapers jutted into the sky, their windows shattered and walls crumbling. Dust swirled around her boots as she knelt to touch a rusted plaque bearing the words, "In memory of those who dreamed." She thought about humanity, their brilliance, their flaws, their resilience. They had destroyed themselves once, but they had also rebuilt. Could they learn from their mistakes, or was history doomed to repeat itself? As she rose to leave, a single satellite drifted overhead, catching the sunlight. It was ancient, battered, by time yet still functional, a silent testament to humanity's enduring spirit. Vera smiled faintly. Perhaps redemption was possible after all.